Hey Michael, wanted to get this over to you before you get out of town. I'm not sure we can do much in town today anyway in terms of just getting the process started. But anyway, so we do everything e-sign and all that, so you don't have to be here for all that. I know you said you could come back, but just real quickly, these three data points that we have here, they may look arbitrary, but it's taken me over 2 hours to flip through photos and set parameters to come up with these three comps as my most solid comparables. Let's just go over them real quickly, and then I'll talk about sort of ROI on doing some some updates and whatnot. Okay, so I do this as much for me as for you, because if we don't list for a month or so, I have to go back to understand my thinking on pricing. But this is a house priced at 130 a square foot. It's in Hermitage, solid neighborhood. But you see, similar in terms of updates, needs a bunch of updates. Anyway, so that one's 130 a square foot. All of these came real close to each other. This one's 143 a square foot. This one was pretty sharp inside. Let's just click on the big picture. It's a lot easier. So this one's pretty sharp inside. Has some things that I know that some people find endearing and whatnot, and so they kind of keep it a lot of wood that they didn't paint over, etc. But at the same time, all in all, it's pretty dated. So that comes up as a pretty solid comp. Anyway, so 128 a foot at this one. A little raggedy. You can see that this one's been updated, but in not good ways. Kind of self-done updates. Puts it 128 a square foot. So where I'm getting at is, let's go back to your property. We call it subject property in this case. You're at 1,600 square feet. I wish I could have gotten enough comps on Woodside Drive to make this a good, to make this analysis a little tighter here. But ultimately, there's only a couple, and they have basements, which throws everything off. Basements can be calculated oddly, especially in Tennessee. Even the percentage of basement to house, etc. I think that with garage space and quality of the neighborhood, you should be able to sell at that 130 a square foot. I know some of those, particularly the Cascade one, is very updated compared to ours. But I think if we cut back some of this landscaping and everything, I think that neighborhood's superior, and that will make up for it. So that put us, my hope is that it put us 130 square foot. Some of the stuff I culled that was considered too good of condition came up almost like some 147, so about 150 a foot. I had some over like 158 a foot, but those had features that we couldn't replicate, such as like an open floor plan and things like that. So even if we were to spend all the money, it wouldn't be worth it. So at 1,600 feet, if you took that and you were able to get 150 a foot, you'd potentially be looking at $240,000 on a sale that we spent enough money on and enough time to get it up to 150 a foot. And I definitely think this house has that potential with the way it looks and what openness we do have with the living room and the foyer, etc. However, if we list as is and we're able to land in that 130 foot, again, I do think our house update-wise is not that it's inferior, it's just more expensive than some of the ones that I saw. In other words, they've spent more money on their house. If we get the 130 a foot, which I think we can get because of a superior neighborhood and the garage, we're looking at $208,000. So the question is there enough ROI to fix up these things, etc.? Quick answer is it's not even close. It's a big house. When you do have a big house, those numbers multiply. Savvy buyers will know that, and they won't offer as much. And like for me, for example, I would see this house as something that if I'm going to do that work, I'd want to make money on. The market's still pretty hot, even though I'm feeling the cooling real bad right now. This market's still pretty hot, and a lot of people will do those updates with very little return. I think that ultimately some of the ones I called that you didn't see here, they were just not ideal. We're as low as 110. So I think that worst case scenario, you'd be looking around 110, 115 a foot. Best case scenario, we bid this. I mean, we're getting multiple offers, and this goes at 135, something like that. I do think even 130 a foot or $208,000, we do need to be prepared for this to go differently than a lot of things have gone. I just put one on the market Thursday, and I haven't had a showing yet, and I'm not priced out of line. I'm only a little, like 10 high maybe, but in a market that's always going up, you want to go a little high. So just want to put that out there. I work for you, which means if you decide you want to shoot for the stars, we can sit and talk about that. I'll still take the listing, but we'll have to talk about a marketing schedule and a price drop schedule. So that means what I'm doing at each stage with each price range. Then if we have to drop the price, a lot of that stuff restarts. But if you want to get rid of it, you want to be done with it, I think you need to stay at that basically 130 foot or $208,000 and negotiate to get the house sold. The market speaks, no showings means we need to make price changes. So I hope that helps. I do still think we need to do some minimum stuff. I don't think we need to get too much into changing light fixtures and all that, but if there's anything glaring, we need to go ahead and take care of it. The biggest of that being the landscaping and the appearance going into the front of the house. So I can get that done. Some of the other things, I think the scope is a little larger than I usually would handle for my clients. That being said, if you do want to fork out the money for painting, light fixtures, etc., I can get it done with just minimal involvement by you, except writing checks. So just let me know how you want to go forward and what your time frame is. I do think this slight cooling we have right now is partly based on the economy and partly just based on the timing of the year. It always tends to go pretty dead right now because folks are just getting in school. My kids just started, and Davidson County, I think it's Davidson County, might be Holy Rosary, it doesn't start till next week. So we're not in full blast, kids are in school yet, and now we can look for houses mode yet. So hope that helps. I'm going to try to get a bunch of your landscaping knocked out tomorrow. I'm waiting to hear from my guy, see if he can get it done. So hope you have a good day, and we'll talk very soon.